Hello, my name is Nicholas Scoville, and this is the demonstration of my final project for EECS X497.2 at UC Irvine Department of Continuing Education. The name of my project is the Gamma Ray Projector Control System. It is a control system for a fictional piece of medical equipment. The machine that I am simulating uses high voltage to produce gamma rays and has moving parts. For my project, I used a DE0-CV board from Terasic with an Altera Cyclone 5 FPGA. I used the slide switches, buttons, and 7-segment LEDs and the GPIO. The slide switches and the buttons are the user input to the machine. I use this 7-segment LED to display the number of the mode that the machine's currently in. Over here on the breadboard, I've broken out the inputs to the state machine, an indicator of which state the machine is in, and the outputs of the state machine. I would like to demonstrate how this machine works. So normally when you turn the machine on, you would be in the standby mode, and I will use mode and state interchangeably. To get into the on state from the standby state, you have to have two things. You need to have a transmit fault that is active, because a transmit fault will prevent the machine from going to transmit, because you don't want to go into the on state and directly to transmit because there's no fault. So now I can simulate turning the power key, and I go on to the on state. We skipped the motor disable state, but I will come back to that in a minute. So now that we can see, we have a power key light. The lights over here usually just indicate if the input is activated. These lights are actually outputs of state machines. So there can be a time when this light will be lit, but this light won't, due to there actually being a state machine between the key and this signal. So now that I've entered the on state, if I wanted to go to the transmit ready state, I would need to remove this transmit fault. And the way that you would normally remove the transmit fault would be to correctly prepare the machine to mode up by entering values on a time limit and other things like that to prepare the machine. So let's say that we've done that. Now the machine enters the transmit ready state, and over here we have a transmit ready signal. So now all we need to do is turn the transmit key and push the transmit button. And these keys both of these have to be activated, and the transmit button is a dead man switch, so it actually has to be held down. So if I activate the transmit key, I can see that now is active, and I hold down the button, you can see that we go into transmit, and the motors have now been disabled and transmit is on. If I let go of the button, you can see we drop back to ready, and I can hit the button to go back on again. If I were to now get a transmit fault while transmitting, you can see that we now drop back to the on state with our transmit fault. From any state, if we get a emergency off signal, it will immediately drop to the off state. When the emergency off signal is cleared, you go back to the standby state. You'll notice right now that the power key has still been turned and the transmit key is still turned, but these signals are not active. That's because these are actually a state machine that won't let, when they first start up in the first state, they will not allow you to go to a higher state, which actually turns this signal on if it's already turned on. So to actually go back to power on, we're actually going to have to turn these off Now I can turn it back on and get back to the on state. I also have a override button. So let's say if I had a safety fault that drops me back to motor disabled, I have a safety fault, I can actually click the clear button and it will clear the faults, and we'll drop back to standby because we don't have the transmit fault any longer. So now if I remove the safety fault, and it's just removed there, but it's latched there because these two faults latch, meaning that even if the fault is momentarily, you have to acknowledge the fault to make it go away. So now if I push clear, now we should be able to go turn the key off and turn it back on and get back on to the on state. I also have a LED test button. And there is a reset button, resets the whole thing, and you can see that when you reset it goes back to the off, and then it will go back to standby. And that's it. Thank you.